And you know, that made me think of the paintings of Christine Ankaoua, who is going to be the other artist featured in the London Art Fair. What you're saying around the colours and the stories and the interplay. Well, Christine, and we can see behind us one of her painting, which is called Solar Flare, is all about emotions, it's all about colours. You're very much about narrative and also about emotions and about colours. So you have very different styles, but I do find that in some elements they meet. What are your reflections on the work of Christine? I'm curious.
Yeah, I think it's always, I don't know, it's that age-old division, I guess, that we have now between abstract and figurative, and what it means to be either of those things. But I think for artists themselves, if you're an abstract painter, you appreciate lines and marks just as much as a figurative painter would. And if you're a figurative painter, I think you end up appreciating structure and colour and like an abstract definition of space just as much as if you were an abstract artist. So I think you actually end up sharing quite a lot in terms of how you construct a visual piece that makes coherent sense. You know, it might not, in Christine's case, be a story or a narrative, but it still makes the eye move in specific ways. And I definitely think about that. You know, her mark making, she has often a monochrome kind of plane and then gestures that crop up and lead us, or, you know, we're left to piece all those little gestures that are kind of floating together. And I think that is, I really love that. And I try to do not something similar, but I do try and give people pinpoints that then they can construct a story out of, or that they can sort of see if they can combine it into a coherent whole. So I think that's very similar, or that's like a similar strategy. And then I just think her use of colour is very coherent. You know, she's not throwing a gazillion colours at you. I feel like Christine's monochromes are quite powerful because they're mostly about one main mood with a few contrasting accents within the same canvas. And I think that's something I try and do as well. So basing the painting, maybe not on a singular colour, but using colour to simplify or reduce the emotion, you know, to make it really strong and simple, can be very useful, I think.
There's one of your paintings which is called Morning Light, is it? Where I think that use of light is also really made me think of how she uses colour. So for you, it's the light filtering through a window in the morning, casting on a sleeping person, and you can see the outline of that person. And sometimes I see in Christine's work outlines that where she uses a certain emphasis in colour. And so I'm very much thinking about bringing, there's a painting from her which is called Sunset. It's in the dark blacks and greys and with touches of red. And to me there's elements, there's that and Moonlight, which is also one of her, and it's more in the blues, which I think is really showing how in a figurative way you're using that light and those different that texture also that it gives, and how she does that in an abstract way.
That's interesting. Yeah, I also think that, you know, now that we're talking about it, I think that Christine has quite a primary palette. You know, it's very black, white, yellow, red, blue. Yes. And I'm one of those people, I love that because I'm also really excited about primaries. I was thinking in my painting Summer Storm, where it's about 3 individuals all in different brightly coloured ponchos, then it's not quite the primary colours, but it's blue, red and green, and just the joy and the kind of radiance that those unmixed colours have, where they're, I guess people say that you can find any colour, or you can mix any colour from that primary triad. And I love that. There's something quite powerful about that. And I feel with Christine, it motors her painting.
Yeah.